is. There's not one for tonight either. There's never a script. There's nothing rehearsed. You all know how I roll. But a few hours into the day, I said, "All right, I think this is it." And she concurred. She agreed. She was like, "Oh yeah, it's definitely a hot one. Very much needed and appropriate for the times that we are living in right now and for what's coming." With Dia de los Muertos and All Souls Day and my yearly ancestral elevation ceremony. And because with or without a ceremony, with or without a specific day to honor ancestral energy, this is something that is vital for all of us. I'm not the exception. It's something that's vital for us every day of our life, all year long, no matter what time of the year it is. And here it is, yours truly, Miss Magda, the Leo Queen, the Leo Witch. Drum roll.
Hi, everybody. It's been a long time coming. He dragged me here, but these are the impromptus are the best, and so thank you for getting me out of my cave, out of retirement. And we're here to serve, so let spirit roll with whatever spirit wants to roll with, right?
Yes, that's how I like to see it. That's how I like to see it. No, we have a hot topic tonight. It's something that I don't think many of us, I'm not even going to take the credit, there are 8 billion people in the world, and maybe some of the 8 billion people in the world have thought about this topic before. I haven't heard anyone bring it to the table, but then
Listen,
yet I don't know.
I'm so prepared. I was like, I know he's going to drop some, so let me get
ready. Me, you, we, us.
Well, but so I hope you guys grab some paper too, because we're going to be dropping some bombs, I think.
I don't think I personally have never heard anyone pose this question, personally to me. But then again, I don't know 8 billion people in the world, so who knows? Someone has, and it's never my credit anyway. It's always Spirit's credit, not mine. Spirit landed this on my heart, impressed this upon me in my inner spirit, and I'm here to share it. And I wanted to share it with you because you are also someone that's connected to Spirit very greatly. But before we dive into this interesting hot topic, let's introduce ourselves. I want you to let everyone know who you are, which I can't think of anybody that don't know who Magda is. But anyway, if you happen to be one of those people, out in the boondocks that don't know who Magda is, get with the program, okay? Let us know who you are, what you do, aside from being my beautiful goddaughter.
Thank you. Okay. So, to keep it sweet, short, and simple, and equally as light in companionship with equally as dark, is I am a clairvoyant, intuitive healer. Call it whatever you call it, whatever people call it. I am a person of service. A person of service because I wholeheartedly proclaim that spirituality saved my life. Therapy gave me direction, but spirituality gave me a container, and had it not been for that container and that support, I would not be in existence today. So because of that, I have dedicated my adult career to service, to changing, to breaking chains, to finding hope, to motivating, to facilitating classes, work with inner child, work with healing, work with forgiveness. We have a shop in Pomona. It's called GypsyLuv Wellness. If you haven't been there, please stop by. And over a decade now, I have been an initiate of ATR, Practice Lukumi, which is how the bond with spiritual Dr. Afi formed. I am his goddaughter. He initiated me to the mysteries of Elegba, and it has been world shaking, life making, and I feel love and I feel full, and There is nothing I would rather do than to keep serving every day. So it's a pleasure to be in alignment because, you know, you say something, uno, what is the word, the saying that you say, like we think something, pero Dios dispone, uno.
Uno piensa y Dios dispone. We may think, but God always, creator, source, always makes the last decision.
Yeah. And, you know, I didn't know. I knew I needed somebody. I knew I wanted a mentor. I had a lot of ancestral wounds, a lot of father wounds, a lot of mother wounds, and through our relationship via our practice and everything in between, you know, I've soldiered up and I walk this walk with you and I fight this fight with you. And we're here to help whatever way you can. And I can, we can. And there is not a day that you would not, that I would not proudly like help or sit next to you and support, assist, listen. You know, anytime that you need me, I will be here for your public, for my public, because I truly believe that we're very attuned when it comes to spiritual work. So I will gladly be your first hand, right hand, left hand, even a damn toe.
Ashe, ashe. Definitely. It's definitely a journey. Um, Obviously, this live is not about our ATR tradition, and then yet it could be, but it's not specifically about it. So I'm not going to talk much about it. But I will say that it takes a lot to surrender. I don't care who you are. It takes a lot to surrender. Surrendering is perhaps one of the most difficult processes by which we as humans uh, can endure, regardless of your background, of your creed, of your dogma, of your understanding of spirituality, how deep you are, your religious faith. Surrendering is one of the most difficult things for many of us, most of us humans, to do. And this Afro-Cuban tradition of Lukumi and ATRs and spiritual practice in reference to the ancestors requires surrendering, and it's very difficult. So that's one of the hardest lessons that we don't overcome overnight. Is something that we gradually end up accepting when we sit ourselves down and we say, okay, I have no choice but to, you know, surrender myself, you know. And because surrendering doesn't come alone, it comes up along with faith. It comes along with trust, and trust is one of those key factors that has been broken in so many people. Trust. So, you know, how do you surrender when you can't trust or don't know how to trust, you know? So
Okay,
this is
here's the
definitely.
question. What are we surrendering to? Because people hear the term self-love and they hear the term surrender. What is surrender? What are we surrendering to? Let's start with that.
We surrender in our need to control. We surrender in our need to know. We surrender our need to have all the answers. We're surrendering our need to have the last word. You know, we want to always have the last word because we're used to having the last word. We're either used to having the last word in relationships because, you know, that's how we were raised or trained or conditioned, or we're always used to having the last word if you are a manager, if you're a boss, if you are at work, you know, and you're used to always having the last word at work because you never had the first word at home, you know. So, you know, it's a lot of control issues, you know, that comes along with being able to surrender.
Okay. So surrender, the main theme that we have to work on to even have a chance at change and, you know, and happiness and freedom and balance. So now the question is, so okay, surrendering control. What is the self-talk? What is the thing that I have to say so I can stay in my surrendering practice? Because it's a muscle, right?
Hmm.
So how does a controlling person
Hmm.
start?
From a spiritual perspective, obviously, for me, because that is the bulk of who I am and the work that I do, and you do too. Um, I believe we lose touch with a deep foundational understanding, and that is the lack of relationship with source, the lack of relationship with whomever it is people call God, the lack of relationship with Mother Earth, with universe, with higher source. That in itself, the lack of relationship with source, is what in itself leads the way of not knowing how to surrender, of not knowing how to trust. Why? Because if I understand, if I deeply understand, not just frontal lobe, not just consciously, not just, intellectually, no. Deeply, internally, spiritually, energetically, vibrationally, if I truthfully understand that regardless of what path I am in, the good, the bad, the pretty, and the ugly, God is with me. And God knows the path that it has placed me on. Then I have to know that on the other side of this situation, of this block, of this downfall, of this challenge, of this loss, there is something better for me that's yet to come and will come, as I like to say.
Okay, so I have something, uh, a little bit of a translation feedback to some of our listeners, because our listeners are our godchildren, some of our clients, hopefully, some of our followers. Listen, what he is presenting is that in your spiritual trajectory, in your evolution to becoming you, that you need this perspective, or I should say, let's embrace the perspective of I am God and God is me, or within me. That God, source, however it is that you tap into, is the essence, is the light. And anything else that you chase because of control, relationships and boyfriends that don't work, jobs that you're unhappy in, boundaries that you lack with parental parents, friends, or family, anything where you don't have power, and not the power you want to have, but the power of freedom, the power of neutrality. You don't have it if you haven't surrendered, and you are not surrendering if you are not putting yourself in alignment with your higher self, with God, with light. And this is not to be preachy, but when we let go, when we let go and we let God, when we let go of control, when we're just flowing, oh, the experiences we can have.
Yes, yes. And I'll add to that, because I wholeheartedly believe that we fail to understand an important aspect. And that to me is, if we would only accept, and I think this is heavy, I think this is a lesson, I think this is a lesson that it took years for me to learn, and I myself have not fully 100% mastered it. I say that transparently and wholeheartedly. I think I'm on a 90, but I'm not at 100, because I'm human at the end of the day. Is the following lessons, which I think so many are not on that boat yet. The process, the journey, what's going to happen, how it happens, how it goes down, has already been written. No matter what I do, I can't change that. Accepting that within myself, mentally and emotionally, has helped me to surrender control. And that is because if I understand that, hey, this is a process, this is the contract that I chose. And in this contract, this was written in it. This process, these experiences, these ups and downs are written, already pre-written. I can change those. My reluctant attitude, my unwillingness to let things be, my a lack of cooperation with source makes the process much more difficult, and it makes it uncomfortable. This is the difference between driving a car with no let's see, with no
Navigation.
uh, um the bag thing that pops out
Oh,
when you have
airbag with no air.
with no airbag and no seatbelt and no, no protection, versus I still got to go down this dangerous road where I will encounter God knows what. Let me buckle up. Let me secure the vehicle that I'm in to be able to navigate through this journey, knowing that at least I did my part in securing the path so that the journey is not as detrimental, as ugly, as bumpy as it could already be. But my way of thinking, what way of thinking? My lack of surrendering, my need to control, my need to know, my need to have the last word, my need to be the one, could make the journey much more bumpier, much more hectic. And I contribute to much more loss. And I deviate from the natural original plan because I have a plan of my own. There can't be two plans.
Ashe.
There can't be two plans. It cannot be God's plan and my plan.
Mm.
It has to be God's plan, which should also be my plan.
Mm-hmm.
Not God and my plan. They don't go together. They don't.
Okay, so here is I'm gonna voice to you guys when he speaks my process and where my mind goes with this. Enter different players, right? So we've already established that in alignment with the radio station that is the source, the God, the light, the frequency that I hope to live in, right? When he says the outcome has already been written, some doubters or some people with fear can say, well, if it's already been written, then what the hell am I doing? Right? There are lessons, there are thematic lessons, themes that your ancestors have been carrying on in your family lineage for generation after generation, and it encompasses you. And the outcome has been written. To me, I translate that for me, I am encoded. I am encoded to live through certain things, to be able to hit and evolve into certain things, to have certain goals, to become the I. When and whatever I choose to become, I will succeed at it. I will not fail because I am encoded that way. But if I don't listen to my encoding, source, numerology, astrology, all the math, so much math that is out there that already speaks of your trades and your encoding. And I'm not saying that it's only that, but I am saying that we resist. We resist the outcome, which is what he's saying. We go against your natural encoding. Therefore, the journey is more difficult.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactamente. But I'll go deeper than that.
Share the live, guys. This is important stuff. Let people know that we're here because there is somebody out there with a broken heart. There is somebody out there frustrated. There is somebody out there having a hard time breaking bad patterns, suffering longer than they have to. Share the live and let them know, because a little bit of this can change a whole lot of you. Go ahead.
Yes. Tag someone and share it, or share this live. We have to also, in addition, we would have to at this stage of the game, depending on how old a person is in life, we would have to even go as basic as to rewire what we consider, what we understand, what we have been taught to be failure. That's deep. And I don't think it does. I don't even believe that saying it like I just said it gives people that aha as I feel it in my spirit. Why? Because imagine that if I am able to rewire what I have been conditioned to believe failure is, then I would stop comparing myself to people. I would stop comparing myself to the level someone else is that I think I should be there based on what I think about myself. Not understanding that the levels that I'm supposed to reach in life has already been prescribed for me. And my failure It's not the failure that mama taught me, or daddy, or society, or school, or that bitch ass, God knows I don't use that word publicly, but here I am. I caught myself, right? That fourth grade teacher that told my mom was, that told me I wasn't going to be anything, right? If I compare what failure is to that, then I am living my life with someone else's measuring tape. You understand? So therefore, if I rewire and free myself from what I thought failure is, then I would know that wherever I land, I need everyone to listen to this, wherever I land, provided that as long as I'm doing my due diligence, as long as I'm doing my part, as long as I'm being consistent, as long as I am in true symbiotic relationship with source, with creator, in our case with our Ori, with Oricha, with, in your case with the Legua, in my case with Chaho. If I am truly in relationship with source, wherever I land, I will not compare it to someone else's success, so that it can shed light in what I've been taught is my failure. Because I see many people, when I read for people, especially within the last 5 years, and I've been reading for people for 30 plus years, but in the last 5-6 years, this has dug much deeper into my soul. When I hear people in readings and they come and they say, well, because, this such and such person, they got the promotion, and it should have been mine. And it's taken me years to reword. I always had the same understanding, but it's not about my understanding, it's about my delivery so that other people can actually get it. So I've had to learn how to re-deliver the messages that I'm familiar with so that it can land differently in people's heart. And what I have reworded differently is that promotion was never yours. You have a different kind of promotion. You're suffering and you're going to bed, and you're bringing that animosity home, and that's creating friction with your significant other because you didn't get that promotion, because you identify yourself through that promotion that you feel you were cheated on. You can't be cheated out of something God never prescribed for you.
And to me, how I get through that is I have decided to stop outsourcing how I identify and how I feel to other people or things, because other people or things are transient in my life, whether they're here for a month, a decade, or a bigger chunk of my life. It is an experience. I am here to experience. I have good experiences. I have bad experiences. There is a sunny day. There is a rainy day. And I will no longer place my value by the measurement of any other thing. I experience things how I want to experience. And if I have a bad day, I'm going to be accountable to the fact that I was anxious, I was moody. Today I wasn't feeling my best. I'm probably tired. I probably didn't eat right, blah, blah, blah. But my success is mine. If I am self-deprecating, if I am hard on myself, that is also my responsibility.
Yes. That's a key point there. The fact that way too many people are steering away from what should be their responsibility. We are either projecting, we're either blaming, or we are playing the role of being energetically to, I don't know how sometimes how Spirit gives me certain terminologies. Anyway, how we dance to this vibration of being spiritually impotent. Because if I understand that I am empowered not by people, I am empowered by spirit, and I am empowered by source, I am empowered by the universe, by the land, the earth that I step on, right? Then that empowerment will find the right connections to the right places, to the right spaces, when I'm not trying to control the frequency.
Yeah.
The
We
issue
have to
here ends
we
up
have to tap
control.
into the frequency, not control the frequency. The radio station's already playing. You have to be in alignment to it.
By letting go of this control, we have control issues.
Yes.
Some of them have much more than I do. Others have greater control. Some people have huge control issues. Some of smaller, but we have control issues.
Yes.
And that
Based on
control
fear.
issue is already sets us up for whatever it is we call failure.
Failure. Yes. Now, translation, because you're hearing us talk in frequency, spirit, and source. How is this playing out? This is playing out when your dissatisfaction on whatever topic. This is playing out in your inability to have a good relationship with your mother-in-law, in your inability to kick that non-prosperous relationship that you're in, still taking that excess calls when you shouldn't because they didn't choose you. They're not making you a priority. Like, take this information, take the medicine, and understand the keywords. If I release control, if I tap into in alignment to the correct frequency, if I can trust, desire, become accountable, become responsible for me having good days, not taking that personal. Because let's use your example of the promotion. There was a systematic thought pattern to how those managers assign that promotion, whether that assigned it to a friend and there is preference, whether they're working, their experience, their seniority, their speed, their attendance, their way of customer service. There's a reason that that boss gave that person that promotion and not to you. So instead of bah humbug and oh poor me, maybe that is the universe's way of saying, baby, there is another road. You don't belong there. Let's get you up and popping somewhere else. But there you are trying to be a pick-me person in your corporate ladder. And Spirit's like, that's not what you're encoded with. That is not what is on your path. So apply some of these examples to why you are stuck where you feel stuck.
Yes, and yes, and yes.
¿Qué tal? Okay, so you talked about surrender and you talked about control. And control, well, we can say that it's fear-based. Now, the question is how? How do we practice this new medicine? How do we tap into the new identity, the new, like, how do we what's the word, atrophy, when the muscles don't work anymore? And okay, let's just call our old life where we're stuck this old pattern and we don't know how to choose us. Let's just say that there is emotional atrophy. How do we now start working this muscle? Where do we
Okay.
begin?
Well, that's a big one. Let's start off with, okay, so our topic, I was writing this thing on so I can pin it on the comments. So we bring today this topic of becoming the ancestor you wish you had, which to me is a powerful, powerful theme. I'm going to backtrack so I can land to your question. At some point, each of us realize, well, I hope we do, because I have, and I'm sure you have too. We realize that we're not just living for ourselves. We are becoming, at some point, we will become someone's ancestor. At some point of our life, we will be someone's ancestors. So every healed wound and boundary held and every prayer whispered uh, in times of darkness, in times of where we feel so lost, becomes that should become that medicine that reveals or travels through, that reveals to us who we are and travels through time for everyone else that will come after us, right? So the question is, what kind of ancestor do I want to become? That's the question I want everyone to really hold on to throughout tonight's live. What kind of ancestor do I want to become? And in the process of putting all these things together, right? You asking this question. Well, we have to know that though I come from my mom and my dad and so on and so on and so on, I am also independent from them. I am independent from my first heartbreak. I am independent from the person that lied to me. I am independent from the person that abused me. I am independent from the person that traumatized me. I am independent from anyone that has inflicted any level of pain into me, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Because that independence reminds us of one thing and one thing only. At the end of my night, at the end of my week, at the end of my month, at the end of my year with my so-called New Year's resolution, I am still responsible over me, over my well-being, over my growth, over what I am trying to achieve in this life. And the reason I say this is because people continuously want to blame someone else for what's missing in their life, for what's not complete, for what left. So at the end of the day, regardless of what you're going through, it does not absolve you of your responsibility over self. You have a duty to yourself. You have a duty to who you are. You have a duty to everyone that came before you that did not have the same availabilities that you have, the same opportunities that you have. And you have a responsibility to those that come after you from when you're gone. So the first thing is about understanding. The first part of my answer to your question is understanding that at the end of your day, regardless of what hell you went through, you are still responsible for yourself. And I stress that a lot, and I repeat that a lot in a lot of my shares, posts, lives, because I continuously must remind us all that we can't release responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We can release responsibility. Yes, your mama hurt you. Now, what you're gonna do about it? You're still responsible over you. Yes, your husband cheated on you. Okay, and you're hurt that he did it with your half sister or your blood sister or your best friend. At the end of the day, you're still responsible over you. What are you gonna do for you? Because at the moment that you decide to engage in that triangle of he hurt me with this person, and now my only goal is to hurt them back, you are already inflicting pain into your lineage. You are inflicting pain into your son, into your unborn daughter, into everyone that will come after you. You are already setting the tone by which they will live by.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My first, I'm writing while you're talking and the things that are coming up for me, and the segue into how do I work this muscle, how do I become free or autonomous and start to develop my spirituality, my freedom, release this control, is number one, you have to realize that nobody is coming to save you. This journey, this trajectory belongs to you. So your connection, evolution, and redefining, reprogramming, resculpting that will lead you home to source, to the freedom, to the balance, to the strength that you want is going to require you knowing that nobody's coming to save you, knowing that yes, you are a product of those who came before you, the mother of your mother and their mother, right? All their habits, all that they've endured, has turned your lineage and you into who you are. But by knowing that, gives you automatically the entrance pass to say, not only can I change my life, the responsibility that you're talking about, the separate identity that you're talking about, but it opens the door to time travel. It opens the door to you healing yourself today and the lineage, healing for your mother through your understanding and through her mother and back. So simultaneously, you change the outcome. And in your future, with your legacy, you will become a healed, a better version than the ancestor that you had. Just to start off this hot topic.
This is a wild, hot conversation tonight. If you're not here, you're missing it. If you need to tag people, you need to tag somebody to me in this life. I can do two things at the same time. And I'm listening to Magda speak and explain and share, but I'm also I pay attention to details. Sidebar, I randomly just picked a cigar. I need my cigar, I need my cigar. So I went and grabbed the first cigar that I had on my altar, which happened to be this one, which I forget who gifted it to me. I'm gonna have to text my thread to see who gifted it because it's a great cigar. It happens to be the casing happens to be red and black. Beautiful casing. I love this casing. I love this casing. On a Monday. Today's Monday. Today's Monday, El Dia de Lengua in Afro-Cuban Oricha practice. We dedicate this is not traditional Yoruba, but in Afro-Cuban Lukumi tradition, we dedicate the first day, Monday, to El Lengua, whose colors are red and black. ¿Verdad? Red and black casing. I did not choose this cigar on purpose. By sitting here looking at the label of the cigar, the name of the cigar is El Mago, which I love, El Mago, right? And it says established in 1965. When you add 1965, what does it add to?
Do the math.
What does it add to, people? When you add up 1965, established in 1965, what does it add up to? I just added this up in my head. I hope it didn't add it wrong. If not, I'm going to look like a fool right now. Anyone? No? 10, 16, 17, 18, 21. Girl, you need to do your math again, CWDS. 21. It adds up to 21. 21, which is also associated to El Legua. So this conversation was supposed to happen today. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it.
Okay. So if you're following, right? Keys to the kingdom. Keys to the kingdom comes with release of control. Release of control comes with connecting to your higher self. To invest in that, to become accountable, you heal yourself and your ancestors. The next question is how, because this is a concept and it's just a concept until you know what the work is, so you can start on the work. I'm going to ask you a question because the first thing that comes to me is this is something that you said to us in the shadow retreat. Breaking contracts, old, false contracts. And the one that you said to me, why it hit me is your value is not in how much you give and in how much you do. You need to break that contract. And I never forgot that because I'm like, what other contracts exist? What were the old beliefs that the ancestors gave us that we've inherited that help keep us locked into our narrative today? Because some of those got to go.
Well, a lot of it, when we sit down with ourselves, the answer to that particular question will vary depending upon what our ancestry is, right? Or our specific background. Because, for example, if you ask that question to someone as myself, who is Black, who is Afro-Cuban, my lineage, my ancestry will lead me to answer that differently because of what my enslaved ancestors went through. My enslaved ancestors were dehumanized. They were, stripped away from their ability to even make choices for themselves. They were stripped away from being able to take care of themselves. They were stripped away from their natural, God-given connection with Source. They were given white Jesus with blue eyes and blonde hair,
Okay.
right? So their whole humanity and their ability to connect and practice their faith and their natural spirituality was stripped away from them. Then, on top of that, they were for a very long time not able to even learn how to read and write, because the white man knew that if they would learn how to read and write, that would give them a certain sense of power, okay, to be able to fight against their oppressor. And then we have the fact that my enslaved ancestors were abused physically, not just tortured by physical pain and being beat and worked from sunrise to sunset and beyond, but also, black women were forced to copulate with their masters and whoever else, because they wanted to continue populating and populating and populating and populating, right, for working purposes. And the men were dehumanized and raped also as well. And the list goes on and 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 on. So what did we inherently in our DNA? What do we have? We have an expression. We have an expression in our DNA, us black folks. We have an expression in our DNAs that automatically teaches us how to hide. Let's go there, somebody.
Achei.
It teaches us how to hide,
Yes.
which is why it's so common for black people. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to other races, but black people. It's so common for us to not understand our power, let alone allow it to show up for itself for what it is. Because energetically, we were taught to sit behind the line over there, in the back of the line, sit in the back of the line, sit in the back of the bus. We were told to hide our ability, our intelligence. So automatically, we have that in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you ask that question to people that are descendants of Jews, or that are descendants of people that have in their family, in the history of their family, people that were in concentration camps, we can talk about a whole different kind of different things that afflict that lineage, right? If we talk just to women alone, right? Up until the other day, women in this country were not allowed to vote or have bank accounts or buy anything without the signature or the permission of their husband. So they had to be married. They needed a man's permission, basically, to be able to have a bank account, to be able to own something. So therefore, it is very alive. As a woman, it is very alive in your DNA, the need to take care of someone else's problem before taking care of your own.
Yes. And let's talk about the more general, because you're giving very specific examples, and I think that they apply to all of us. I think we got there in different ways, but ultimately, like in our Spanish culture, we are taught, for example, women are bred to take care of men. And yes, we live in a different era, and equal opportunity and two household income, and a woman can, get a master's degree and she can become a CEO. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about what you are encoded and what you are struggling with and what your shadow, has processed that has limited you, right? Because we are taught to stay in silence. We are taught to sacrifice for others. We are taught self-abandonment. We are taught that we have to put others before us. So if I'm talking about not outsourcing who you are and pulling back your identity, your power, your voice, your dreams, your ability to rise, you're going to have to collect all of that back, and you're going to have to release what you've done and how you've outsourced to others. Um, love was rationed or conditional from some of our parents. You know,
Yes,
I
yes,
didn't grow
yes.
up in a household where I was mushy and got a lot of, oh, I love you. Like I had to do this before I could do that, you know. And so there is so much rewriting that you have to do to change the trajectory of your destiny, to become this ancestor, future ancestor. We're not talking about today, but this is a representation. Every living moment, while you're in the infield and your ancestors are in the outfield, this is your time at play. And you are forming a legacy of what will you leave behind to your children.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How will you be remembered? So today and now is where we start to rewrite things.
Yes, but for the purposes of and everyone, again, everyone does not subscribe to the same uh, faith or beliefs. But for those of us that are connected to any form of ATR, African traditional spirituality, African traditional religious faiths, etc., we do have the belief, and this did not reach entirely Cuba, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this belief did not reach Cuba entirely. But it is it is part of African faith, the fact that we are living ancestors.
Living ancestors. Yeah.
We are living ancestors. So we have to be able to understand that becoming the ancestors, going back, I'm going to go to something that comes to my mind. Like, for example, conscious, part of many different, obviously, we can't exhaust in an hour, hour and a half, or whatever. You know, we can't exhaust every single little detail about what it is that we need to do to become the ancestor we wish we had. But part of that what comes to mind as you were talking was being a conscious parent. Conscious parenting is one of the topics that I believe is important in becoming, you know, the ancestor that we wish we had. Conscious parenting, if you're taking notes, and even if you don't have children, becoming the ancestor you wish you had is not only about raising children when you really come to think about it. It's about raising consciousness. Okay? It's about raising consciousness. Okay? It's about, being aware of what you're passing down energetically, vibrationally, spiritually, emotionally. What are you passing down? Okay, what are you passing down to your offspring, even what are you passing down to your nephews, and what are you passing down to it's not just your biological children, what are you passing down to your nephews? What are you passing down to your younger cousins? And because at the end of the day, especially for those of us that identify to any form of ATR, there have been numerous, countless, there's no way to number it, countless of instances in which doing ceremony, in which doing something we call an itai, in which something we call a reading, divination, an ancestor that you never met, an aunt that you never met, comes in to guide you, protect you, warn you, defend you, or tell you you're doing it wrong. And it wasn't your biological parent. It was your aunt who probably never even had children, biological at least. So this concept and this idea that parenting is only exclusive to childbearing. No, parenting is also guiding, it's also nurturing, it's also because you came first before everyone else that will come after you. So how are you parenting your culture? How are you parenting your society? How are you parenting in the schoolings? A teacher is a parent. A teacher is a parent because they have their child longer hours than you do. for those of you that have 9 to 5 jobs and only pick up your child at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, or whatever the case is, and you got home and you cook, and then they go to bed, and then they wake up next morning to go to school. So your teacher has your child longer than you. They are your child's parent. From an African perspective, that's why the whole idea of parenting is originally, it's already flawed. For the concepts of this country, it's already flawed. Why? Because from an African perspective, parenting was collective. It wasn't just mom and dad. That's why the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Because it wasn't just your child, it was the child of the village. And the village raised the child. That in itself has been broken for us here, in the West, because of the life that we're living here, right? So that in itself already creates a disruption to what was natural.
You know what comes to mind when you say that? Because, I understand the concepts that you just explained. I co-sign to the concepts that you just explained. But my very innate behaviors, past trauma says, no, I don't trust anybody. No. Like, I just want to be autonomous. And so it goes against.
Pause. Whenever we say we don't trust anybody, the real definition of that is we don't trust ourselves.
Yes, that's what I was exactly going to say. We don't trust others because we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe in the hands of others, interacting emotionally with others, surrendering with others, because we don't trust ourselves to manage, to flow, to have boundaries, to heal, to experience without bias. Really, it all comes back to you. And one thing that I wrote down while you were talking, when I heal my nervous system, this is when you said consciousness. Mm-hmm. When I heal my nervous system, I raise consciousness, therefore healing the past and upgrading my future.
Yes.
Healing the nervous system.
Yes. So what are other things that we can do to rewire, to become the ancestor we wish we had? I'll give you another example. Each and every time you pause versus what you used to do, each and every time you choose to pause instead of reacting in anger, you are already reprogramming your lineage.
Yes, reparenting your line. Yes. Say that again so that you can.
Let me see if it comes out. Let me see if it comes out the same way. Each and every time you pause instead of reacting in anger, you are already reprogramming your lineage, reparenting your lineage. Now, these are the things that we must do consciously.
Reparenting your lineage. Listen, I want the listeners to understand. So important to reparent yourself and your lineage on an emotional level, on a mental level. New habits, new boundaries, because ultimately for rewiring, you need to program your neural pathways. Enter the science. Why did we learn by doing standards over and over, repetition and repetition? Instead of acting out, that then continues the same behavior that you grew up with, you're going to need to pause, exactly like he said, catch your breath, make a choice, trust yourself, and ta-da, you're reparenting your lineage. That was fantastic.
I'll give you another one.
I'll give
you another one. Okay. I'll give you another one. Every time you say I love you, where normally there used to be total silence, where normally there used to be total distance, each and every time you give yourself permission to say I love you, you're already teaching future generations emotional safety.
Yes.
For each and every one of us that never received the I love yous. For each and every one of us whom our parents did not know how to express that level of love. They might have expressed it in protection, as it was my case. My mother was, is, and will always be the excellent, excellent, incomparable mama bear that knew how to defend and protect her children. In my book, there will never be anyone better than her for doing that. But what was missing for my inner child's needs? What was missing? The I love yous, the hugs, the kisses.
You did a great job.
You did a great job. It's okay. It's going to be better tomorrow. That was missing. So how do I rewire? How do I reparent my lineage for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children is by learning how to say I love you where there used to be silence. Because then in me being able to express that love and share that love and give that love, I am already reparenting, rewiring, reprogramming future generations and offering them the emotional safety that might have been missing for me.
Fly Moccasins, it's never too late. She wrote, my children are in their 30s and I think I have scarred them with my anger. I don't know how to fix it. This was passed down from my mom.
The acknowledgement alone starts to offer the healing. The acknowledgement alone. The fact that you are able to acknowledge, that you recognize the harm your lack of love language might have caused is already the first step. The second step would be not trying to change the past because it can never be changed. The past can never be changed. So trying to change it, trying to justify it, trying to fix it will never, ever, ever, ever. Because when you try to fix the past, listen to this. When you try to fix the past, when you try to go back to the past to justify why you did what you did, unintentionally, you are also re-traumatizing again your child. Because you're given an excuse to what happened. They don't need an excuse. They don't want an excuse. They don't even want to hear it. All you could do is offer who you are today with the consciousness you have today. Accepting what was done, accepting ownership, responsibility, accepting the pain and the harm it could have caused and may have cost them. Acknowledging children, whether they're 16 or whether they're 55, they need to hear from their parent that they acknowledge the pain that they inflicted. So acknowledgement is important. And then, if given the opportunity, you have to stay in the lane of how can we fix it now?
Yes.
Not fix the past, but the present moment. It's about the present moment. How can we rebuild a different kind of relationship that's safe for you and for me? You got to show who you are now. Don't justify who you were. Show who you are now. Because when you try to justify who you were or excuse who you were or protect who you were, that child's inner child is going to come out. Because that inner child is the one that's still hurt. That inner child is the one that's still programmed. That inner child is the one that still feels defensive. So you don't want to deal with that inner child like that in that manner by trying to justify to the inner child, I did this because of this X, Y, and Z. No. It's about you saying, this is who I am now. I'm able to acknowledge what I did. I'm able to acknowledge what the pain it may have cost you. Where can we go from this moment moving forward? Where can we go from here? From here. Not from yesterday, from here. And then on top of that, I believe, if you're able to receive this, I believe that it is of utmost importance, because even reading your message, Flying Moccasins, it made me feel as if you still have not forgiven yourself. And if you haven't forgiven yourself, then that's a problem. because you can receive what you don't give to yourself. So you have to first fully, entirely forgive yourself, the old version of you. You have to forgive her.
Ogun's daughter said, sometimes people have a hard time receiving I love you. It's not your job how they receive it. It's your job to be able to be open, surrender enough to leave it there, your side of the street. If they can't receive it, you've already done your part. I wanted to say something. Uh, I want to add one, but I wanted to say, in what he's saying, from a neurological standpoint, because he talked about repeating, right? And you already believe me. Knowing that every single time you make a proclamation of yourself, you are still re-recording, re-cementing, re-anchoring this truth about you. And if you want to surrender and make that change, not play small, right? Embrace your new life. You cannot continue to speak these things. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. I think I'm always going to end up alone. Any variation where you don't win, any variation where you feel not worthy, any thing where it's you are telling your nervous system again, shut it down, we're no good, we're not enough. And that kind of language does not is not in alignment neurally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually with this change you want to now grasp.
Yes.
Very, very important part. um,
Yes, 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 yes.
if
Another
I
way is for you, based on what you just said, for those of us that can identify with that, is, you know, each and every time you allow your inner child to rest, each and every time you allow your child to engage in some kind of play, or each and every time you allow your child to be held, you are doing what your ancestors couldn't do. And in doing what your ancestors couldn't do, you break the quote unquote the curse that has afflicted your lineage in that area, offering it for generations to come.
the alchemy, yes sir. Hmm. Super important. This is really good stuff because people don't have these conversations with you. This is not usually something you talk over coffee. This is not something that
Nope,
usually makes it to your therapy sessions.
nope,
So these are
nope,
really, really like know the
nope.
value of these gems.
So then
Um,
what are you doing then? When we're doing these things, what are you doing? You're you're basically parenting the future. I need everyone to hear that. You're parenting the future. It's not about just the rewiring, but you are already parenting the future. Me, I am already parenting the grandchildren and the great grandchildren and the great grandchildren that I will never meet.
and healing the ancestors that came before
Yes,
you.
yes, 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 yes. So therefore, it, we are parenting the future, not just through, how can I say this? Not just through DNA, but through vibration. We're
Mhm.
parenting the future generations, not just through our blood, through our DNA, but we're doing it also through vibration. That vibration, that energy, that vibration that carries the message. So then, as a reflection for us, for this conversation we're having right now, there's so much coming to my brain, and I want to, sometimes the messages comes in through so fast, and your mouth can only speak so fast, right? Um, one question I will pose for us here in the live, and please, if you will, answer in the chat for us. If your descendants, yeah, I don't think your ass is ready for this. I don't think you're all ready for this right now. If your descendants, the ones that are already alive and the ones that you will never meet, inherited your emotional habits of today, if your descendants were to inherit your emotional habits of today, what would they receive? That's a question.
Mm.
For you, for me, and for all of you, that's a question. If your descendants were to inherit your emotional habits of today, what would they receive?
Fear. Still, they would receive fear.
Come on, somebody.
Limitations. Come on, guys.
From me, they will receive control.
For me, they would receive control too. Ajay. Mm. No. For me, they would receive control and they would take limited risks only, measured risks, never truly rolling the dice, never truly full themselves.
So they will also receive from you and I lack of trust.
Yes.
See, we're doing shadow work here if you didn't notice.
Only on this channel. Okay.
Tears and
So
fears,
I don't.
control, feeling not good enough, guilt. ¿Qué más? Come on now.
Silence, learning not to speak up for themselves. That whole children are meant to be seen, not heard. Come on. Not teaching people to not abandon themselves, to not use their voice.
Settling.
Settling. That's a good
For
one.
many of you, it's settling. Settling. For many of you, is exchanging authenticity for acceptance. How about that? Lack of authenticity.
Teaching them how to be codependent. How is that control affected
Love
life?
hungry, emotional hungry.
Hungry, desperateness, thirstiness. Come on.
Instability, lack, selflessness.
Glass half empty, negativity, doubt.
Pessimism.
Pessimism, yes. No.
You were gonna say something earlier before I interrupted you rudely.
No. I will wait because I was going to move on to one that helped me a lot in my dynamic when I was outsourcing and something that has changed the way I look at the world. So we'll wait till, I don't know, in case somebody in your comments, hits a grand slam and we have to detour that way on that topic. I'll give it a second.
We have codependent, we have free financial worry, the lack of love, fear, low confidence and self-worth, poor math skills, attachments, uncertainty, fear, self-worth, regret, my emotional depth and my passive behavior, not enough.
How about waiting for somebody to rescue you? You're waiting
Scarcity,
to start. You're waiting for the greatness of your life to start.
people
Or
pleasing,
something else to arrive, or somebody else to give it to you.
closed heart and not trusting. That's a lot. It's interesting to me, and you might think not Magda, but those of you on here, you might think that oh, here he goes. For those of you that know me, at least, if you're new, then I'm sorry, but actually I'm not sorry. But if you already know me, here it goes. I'm going to always go there. You know why I'm going to always go there? Because my job, my contract, my responsibility, my commitment is the word I like. My commitment with source, with spirit, is to serve the universe, to serve you. So I am going to go there right now. It's interesting that all of you are able to recognize this openly, and I'm grateful because it means that Magda and I are hitting the spot. But you're able to recognize that this is what you're carrying, that this is what you have to face, that this is what you would be leaving behind for your offsprings if you have them, for your offsprings if you don't have them yet, for generations, for your nieces and your nephews and your cousins and whoever and all the generations. This is the core, core value of ancestral healing. This is the core value of ancestral elevation. This is the core value of why we do the work that we do. This is the core value of why I do the yearly ancestral elevation. This is why we do this. So that's why I must plug this in right now with this first important part that we have been able to do thus far. You know, the opportunity is there. It just takes us committing. It takes us being able to commit in ways that many of our ancestors weren't able to commit to themselves. You need to commit to yourself. So the opportunities are there. The Ancestral Elevation Healing Ceremony is on November 2nd. It's at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For every single reason that you have addressed in answering this very hot question, for those very same reasons is the reason why we do and we must continue to do ancestral healing work. This is why you should do ancestral healing work. Me included, Magda included. We do the work. I do the work. Magda does the work. We do it. But, this has been offered for the sake of guidance, for the sake of support. So, come on now. Join us this year in our Ancestral Elevation Healing Ceremony on November 2nd. There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. Another thing that I will offer is I said about parenting, right? Conscious parenting. And now I have to talk about emotional maturity. Emotional maturity, people say mature, some people say mature. I like to say mature. Emotional maturity, there is the bridge between trauma and transformation. It's a big bridge. It's a big bridge. And within that, our ancestors, my ancestors, your ancestors, endured unimaginable pain, hardship, endured so much that they had to sacrifice so much and give up so much. They had to learn how to survive, basically, right? So therefore, which means many of them never had the space to feel. I need that to land in somebody's heart. Many of our ancestors, Magda's and mine from the Black aspect, Magda's from the indigenous aspect, from the native, from the indigenous, and for many of us, many of our ancestors were robbed of their God-given right to feel.
Yes, sir.
This needs to land at a much deeper level than my words are able to express, because I wish I was able to express it the way I'm feeling it. Many of our ancestors were not given the opportunity to feel. To feel. Can you believe that? To feel. So my ancestors were not given the opportunity to feel, and therefore they were emotionally bankrupt. This is why I say emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is part of the lessons that we need to learn in order to not continue to pass down emotional deficit. So that my children's children, and those whom I will become an ancestor to, have the freedom to feel and express, to feel. It's interesting because we are we are the first if I can say so, we are the first generations with the privilege to pause, to heal, to speak our truth. We're the first generation with the privilege to cry, to forgive. Do you hear me? So becoming the ancestor I wish I had means what? It means you stop normalizing chaos. You stop normalizing chaos. You learn to love without losing yourself. You can learn to love without losing yourself. You don't have to give up yourself in order to love. You don't have to lower your standards in order to love. You face your shadows instead of passing them down. That's also part of emotional maturity. You face your shadows instead of passing them down, instead of ignoring them like they're not there and leaving it like a bag of garbage for someone else to clear out. That's emotional wealth. When you really think about it, it's emotional wealth. I'm talking about emotional wealth. How do you become emotionally wealthy so that the level of emotions that you're passing down are not in deficit? They're not background. They're not unsafe. Because emotional maturity is emotional maturity is what keeps the next, or what could keep the next generation safe. Emotional maturity is what could keep the next generation safe from having to heal from us. I don't know.
Okay.
What say you?
What say me?
It's a lot.
Well, you said something that segued into what I was going to say. I was going to talk about a factor that made me let go of the way I saw my mother and the way that I saw other people that caused me to feel disappointed. So it fits in emotional maturity, and uh, you said something about loving myself doesn't mean necessarily compromising myself. Like I could love them separately from how I love myself, right? And to me, when I humanized my mom, when I humanized her mother, um, I found myself in defense of my mother for my sister. She was still my villain, but she had to be only my villain. When my sister villainized her, I protected my mom. Okay. And my sister was recollecting her wound and her experience. And I came to my mother's defense and I said, you glorify this version, this narrative you have of yourself, but you don't know that while my mom was raising me, teeny tiny, months old, she was practically sleeping on the streets, taking the bus in the rain with a 4-month-old under her arm, and a single mother in a foreign land with language as a barrier. I had to humanize my mother to change the way I villainized her. She had to be a woman with pain, with limitations, whose mother told her, suck it up. Men sometimes take advantage of women and we cannot break, and this was her story. But now, my grandmother, who was good to me but died when I was 6, what did she endure? She died young of cancer We know doing healings what cancer, what an emotional destructive disease that is. So I had to humanize my mother, her mother, and their story. Forever did it change how I judge them. This intelligent, or I like to sometimes think I'm intelligent, was busy judging and suffering and being petty and
In your
hurting
feelings, in
and
your feelings,
selfish, and negative.
in your feelings.
Me. Eh, and so when I surrendered to the fact that I didn't know everything, that I don't know why my father killed himself, really, that I don't know how my mom survived raising 4 children alone. Hey, I am not at the set. I'm at the center of my own story, but I have to choose what right I have. And like, there are so many years in the making of who I became and how. Why didn't I imagine my mom as a warrior? Why wasn't my mom a hero in my story? Why did I not choose to like honor her trajectory, not in my pain, not in my shadow, and that made my work harder. So when we can normalize that everybody is having a story, that everybody before you had a story, and now in present day, your boss is having a story, the person who cut you off in traffic is having a story, you don't know the story. You're only a player in their story. So let's normalize humanity. Not that we're making it okay for but if you have healthy boundaries, and if you can flow, and if you can surrender, you don't have to personalize everybody else's story and make it the me show. Just be present. That was my key. I just
Ashe,
am learning to stay present.
ashe,
Hit
ashe,
me. Hit me because I saw you light up. Hit me.
ashe, ashe.
I don't see any hearts, guys. Come on. At least not on my side of the screen.
I see it. I see it here.
Okay.
I see the hundreds and the hearts and I see it. Okay, so the reflection question that came up for me as you were speaking and sharing with us, a reflection question for you, a reflection question for me, a reflection question for all of us is then, with that understanding that you just shared about yourself and your experience, what emotional patterns are you choosing to end with you?
The I'm less than, the part of me, the narrative that loses, that doesn't get chosen, that blurs my accomplishments. Like it masks my accomplishments by comparison. And I am choosing to be more present. I am choosing to allow people to behave how they need to behave without personalizing, therefore taking the responsibility away from myself, giving them the freedom so they don't feel judged, staying in my lane and pulling in. I want this experience. I want to live this, savor that. And it's not perfect. I have to check myself constantly,
Yes, we all
but
do.
it's so much more liberating, so much more liberating.
We all do. We all have to check ourselves. So, question for everyone. What emotional patterns are you choosing to end with you?
Dig deep, guys. Dig deep.
What emotional patterns are you choosing to end with you? So that your daughter doesn't pick this up. So that your son doesn't pick this up. So that you're not teaching your son how to become the man that you hate in him. You hate your son. Oh, you're not ready for that conversation. How can you say that I don't hate my son? That is impossible. That is an abomination. You hate your son because you hate his father. If you hate his father, you hate your son. You know why? Because he too comes from his father. You see, people have a misconception of what true healing is. We are so used to the superficial aspect of healing. And the real healing, the one that I recognize, and not me because I made it up, I didn't make it up, the kind of healing that we talk about in terms of from a metaphysical standpoint, it's a kind of healing where you're able to love your hater. You're able to love he who betrayed you, knowing that he who betrayed you came into your life to teach you a lesson about you, about your boundaries.
Yes. Yes.
And because he was your teacher,
Yes.
that husband that cheated on you was your teacher about your boundaries.
Yes.
You cannot spend the rest of your life hating him. You have to be able to forgive him by forgiving yourself for lacking the boundaries that were never in place, for not knowing yourself the way you should have known yourself, so that you can continue loving your son and your son doesn't end up turning out to be like the man that you hate today.
That is fire.
Just saying.
What a perpetual circle, because I think that this is something that we as human beings, emotional beings, um, do not do a great job of following the loop or reflecting how, assimilating how this behavior really turns around and comes around. Like, you know, you and I are very open. You're also very observant of my life. Like, I know that there is a lot of understanding when you give me advice. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, but I know that you trust that I will look at it. And you said to me, you're going to need to let your son grow his wings. And his whole life I've tried to, you can't go sleep over there, da da da, and this and that, and you have to do your homework, and you have to do this. And I was so busy keeping him in a safe lane that I have made him unsafe to the world because he is underprepared. I did not think of that when I was busy protecting / controlling.
Yes. And since I would never speak about say anything of your private life unless you open it, but you opened that same topic. So what was it that we had conversation that we had, something that I shared with you the other day with regards to new layers of his life now, this new experiences of his life now, said, let him be, let him do.
Yeah.
Because he has to learn. He has to learn how to fall and get back up again. Because as parents, a parent, you're not going to always be there forever. And this is so important. I do not want to steer away from this conversation. But it's also in alignment when you really think about it. It's so important because these are the parents that then transition, they pass away, and then they never rest. They never rest because they see the suffering or the challenges that are present in their child's life, and they wish that they were still there in the physical so they can have a greater control over how to guide them or protect them or advise them. But now they are on the other side, and therefore they don't rest in peace, right? So therefore, it's important for those of you who are mothers, those of you who are fathers, those of you who are parenting, those of you who are responsible for someone else's well-being, for you to understand this from the example that Magda shared with us. Because the truth of the matter is, none of us are going to be here forever. Not in the physical sense. not in the physical sense, because from the African spirituality sense, we are immortal. That's another conversation we're not going to have right now. But um, we are immortal because the soul never dies. That's why we consider ourselves to be immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so therefore, how you are preparing your daughter, your 14-year-old daughter, your 16-year-old, your 8-year-old. How are you preparing your son? How are you preparing, like Magda's example, how are you preparing your child, to be able to protect themselves, to be secure in their own skin, to understand boundaries, to not repeat your own sin mistakes? How are you preparing them? And part of preparing them has to do with not controlling them. Part of preparing them has to do with letting go.
That's a hard one.
Letting go. So again, what
Let,
emotional patterns are you choosing to end with you?
let me, that's just one little nook. But I'm observing, I'm observing a client. Let's just keep the anonymity. Um, Grieve over a relationship where it is very obvious that the same interest is not reciprocating. The language and the investment that goes on between two people and the interactions do not match. And so she is non-responded. It's non-reciprocal. And her wound, her inner child wound, and the rejection that comes from the parent is at play, and that inner child is wild inside.
Of course, of course, of
You
course,
know,
of course.
and um,
That's the one
it's two
that
prongs.
when they leave, that's the typical experiences that when the partner leaves, they're hanging from the leg and don't leave me. And why are you leaving me? And I'm gonna do better. And but I love you so much.
No, okay, but this is like, try to follow me because I might get lost, because this is two prongs on two questions that I have. The thing number one is in comparison to what I was saying, right? The control and blah 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 with my son, and then I give this example now of my client. It goes to what he was saying, that in your story that has already been written, there is value to this lesson, to this heartbreak,
Mhm.
to this rejection. There is some work that needs to be done. They do represent a lesson you have to face off with. They do represent something you have to work on. If you extend the lesson and are eating shit longer than you have to, that is where we make things difficult. That is thing number one. But thing number two, and this is a little bit sidetracked, but he said, uh, uh, spiritual Dr. Offie, I call him Padrino, said something in my presence the other day, and he said, procrastination and insecurity, when it limits you, it is a direct cause of the parental protection or presence being lacking. So the chasing and the not trusting and the please pick me, or living in fear and staying in that perpetual cycle will entrap you. And it's something that if you want to flourish, it needs to be broken. And I just bring it back into this sector because we are talking about the things that need to be healed so that you can change the trajectory of your life. Super important. And when he said that to me, I thought of the people that I know. I thought of myself. I thought of people I know. I thought about some of my god kids. I thought some of my clients. I thought about the behavior, like this client, the wild inner child that is out of control. Why can't I let go of something that is not reciprocal to them? Why cannot say thank you for the lesson? I receive it. I give myself my place.
Because the inner child has a longing to belong. To belong. is dying to belong. It wants to belong. And part of that belongingness comes attached with feeling safe. It's never felt safe. So what I call it is misplaced sense of safety. It's a misplaced safe sense of safety, which is not safe at all. When you think about it, when you get to the core of it, it's not safe at all because you expose yourself to relationships or places or spaces that ultimately does not have your best interest at heart. But it's what you are dying because you're tired of losing, you're tired of starting over, you're tired of not being chosen. You're tired of not being a priority. You're tired of not being the one. It is mimicking what your parent did to you in some form or capacity.
In your experience, why do they stay? Why do they have such a hard time letting that go?
Because this is not a one part answer. Number one, they have a hard time letting go because ultimately, when you really go to the root cause or the core aspect of it, there's no true sense of identity.
Yes, yes, yes. No true sense of identity.
Because if
You
I
are
know who
not
I
a
really am, if I really know who I am,
Mm.
I am not attached to you. I am not attached to whether you stay or whether you go.
That doesn't mean it won't hurt, but it
It
is
will
not.
hurt. It will hurt. But it will not steal my identity away from me.
Oh, that was so the core. A person who stays in a place that is emotionally detrimental and will not choose themselves, does not choose themselves, they are dependent on outsourcing love and acknowledgement from outside because you lack identity. Ah, that was a gold mine. That was
And
good.
what is identity? We'll be here for another hour, which we're not. Um,
I'm almost done with my water.
I'm unpacking that identity. Identity, having an identity. I'll just lay this one because we can't exhaust all that right now. But having an identity also means I know who I am separate from you. I belong whether you choose to leave or stay. I can love me whether you choose to leave, whether you choose to not
Mm.
love me. I still have love for me. And because I have love for me, I respect me. Because I respect me, I'm not going to be bombarding you with 150,000 messages every single day, begging for you to come back, begging for you to explain to me why did you leave, begging you, I can do it differently, begging you, to give you another opportunity. Opportunity of what? To fail again, to be hurt again, to be used again, to be lied to again, to be dismissed again, to be misplaced again,
Mm.
to be breadcrumbs again.
Not me.
That's Jordan, not my black ass either.
And to be clear, I speak that with conviction, but that wasn't always my truth. I was always anxious, always chasing, waiting to be loved, equally loved. I wanted to be a half of a whole, and I was either high in love or dragging ass in broken-hearted land, and it never arrived. And it will not arrive, and it does not arrive until you arrive to yourself.
Exactly. So that was one, lack of identity.
Mm.
Number two, there are many more, but I'll leave it at two, is running around with an empty vessel. When you're void, when there's a void, anything fits. You're always picking for anything to fit the void, fill the void, the void, the void, the void, the void. But you pick at the next best thing, what you think is the next best thing to fill the void, not understanding that that which you are choosing to fill the void is either also empty, will not fill your cup, will not satisfy, will not fulfill, is not equipped, is not protective, it's not safe, it's not transparent, it's not reciprocal, and you repeat the same pattern over and 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 over again because you did not do inventory of what you're bringing into your space, your heart, your mind.
Doesn't that come from number one though? Doesn't that come, I am not that, cannot do that if I don't have identity?
Exactly. Lack of identity because you don't give it to yourself. You don't love yourself. You don't do you. You don't understand you. You don't know who you are. Who you are, or your understanding of who you are, is falsely attached to what others have told you are, to what your
Falsely
mother taught
attached,
you.
falsely attached to what
Falsely.
others have told you you are. Can I heart this conversation myself? Because this is good.
So then, how else moving forward so we can wrap it up soon here?
Here is my take. My take is be the first. Be the first. Honor yourself. Don't get overwhelmed by the thought of the responsibility of breaking old patterns and old cycles. Just honor your life, honor your connection with source. Um, for me, surrendering, I don't like the word surrender because it feels like falling back and being dependent on others.
No, surrender means falling forward.
I know. I know. That's why I didn't like the word surrender. But I'm working on a new thought. Like when I try to do micro moves to stay in my lane,
Mm-hmm.
um, my new loop is be everything and be nothing all at once. You know, because if I am nothing, I'm not existent. I'm just not attached to anything. I can be quiet, I can flow, I can exit. I don't I'm not like I'm not going to be broken by what is happening out there. I can enjoy it if I choose. I can experience it like I want. And I can be everything. That means, and that's not from ego,
Mm-hmm.
that is, I am living and breathing creation and movement right now.
Yes.
And I can say it, write it, experience it, enjoy it. I can put it on pause. I can put it on go. I can take up as much room as I need to without asking for permission, without worrying about the apologies that I made or that in my anxiety I thought.
Yes.
So I constantly, every day, I don't know if maybe a dozen times a day, 100 times a day, I am everything and nothing at the same time. And my guardian angel, my frequency that I experience him through, and that may sound bizarre to other people, but he gave me that. He is everything and nothing. He is beginning, he is end. And I was working on, well, what would a Legua do and what would he say? And I wanted to emulate like energy or not just experience that or be more in the likeness of, because I needed to put and play the best parts of that. This is, I'm letting you in into my inner head, right into my inner voice. And so he said, be everything and be nothing. And I say that to myself every day. I invite you guys to practice that and to chew on that. And as far as ancestral, this is my version. Again, I'm letting you in into how I think. I am, yes, I believe in timelines, but I have read a lot in this last year over quantum theories, and I believe that I'm here but not here. Is it a simulation? Is this life a simulation? Maybe. I am what I think I am. I create what I think I can create. I enjoy it because I choose to. The past is the present, and the present is the future, and it's all relative. I time travel not because I get into a machine, but because I can visit my mother's feelings, my grandmother's feelings, because I can honor the ancestors that came before me, because I look forward to planting seeds so that there is joy when my name comes up and I am no longer in existence, when my child has had children, or my godchildren have had their godchildren, they can bring up my name and our story with joy. So for me, I am all in existence at once, everything and
Yes.
anything, but I needed to surrender and let go.
Yes.
So as far as, because I am still working every day, I work in here, but I am becoming the ancestor that I want to be, and I am not better than this person and not worse off than that person, but I invite you to release the weight of your wounds. I invite you to say goodbye to the part of the shadow that is daunting, and allow your shadow to be your teacher, and allow your ancestors to be your teacher, to choose to be the first to release, to heal, to make peace, nurture peace in you. Learn what that means. Chase these lessons. Tune into his lives. Go to the classes. Participate in these things. You know why? Because whether you understand 2% or 92%, whether you felt something and you cried, or whether you felt nothing, your presence, your energy was present. Your ancestors and all the timelines in my world, they're existing at the same time. This today is your experience. When you choose to experience this healing, you choose to be responsible, to feed you, to nurture you, to heal the past, to upgrade the future. So I hope that you do
Yeah.
participate, and not once, twice, three times, as many times as it takes for it to be part of who you are. Because I think that ancestors, God's source, need to be integrated into your everyday. You need to feel the light, whether you feel it as a palpitation in your neck, in your heart, whether you feel the thoughts come over you. When you do surrender, or you fall forward, like he said, it becomes second nature, because future you, healed you, is not the same as old you, and is not the same as your old ancestors. And by God, you will feel different, and you know it. You will know it when you will arrive. And even when you have healed, you will be willing to heal the collective. So you will continue to show up, because when you become healed, you become a healer, and you want the healing for the collective. So
Yes. Yes.
I hope
Amen.
that you will consider the ancestral healing workshop classes. Anytime you hear it, anytime you think spirit is sending you a message, they are.
Because they are. Because they are. Ashe, 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 ashe. There's so many different points that came through, in terms of becoming the ancestors we never had or we wish we had. So many, right? And we've gone through spoke about conscious parenting, spoke about emotional awareness or what have you, and we can't leave behind, because it's also important, especially for the life we live in, especially for the current climate that this country is in right now in the world. We can't leave behind the topic of financial wellness. Financial wellness is also important. I know it's important in my lineage. I know it's important for my ancestry. Is definitely very important. But this is not about money alone, financial in terms of money alone. This is about rewiring. I'll call it rewiring, rewiring our story of survival.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Rewiring our story of survival. And that's because in my case, and in many and in many people's cases, our ancestors prayed for what many of us call stability. You know, they prayed for it. I know my ancestors prayed for the stability that now I have, right? And our understanding of stability has changed from their understanding of stability based on the of the the current world that we're living in, right? But we inherited in the process. We inherited their struggles. We inherited, their struggles with what? We inherited their struggles with scarcity,
Yeah.
right? And therefore, again, I have to stress this, not just money. We're not just talking about money, not just money scarcity, right? But energetic scarcity, vibrational scarcity, spiritual scarcity
Yeah.
as well, if you really go there, okay? The feeling of not being enough, right? The feeling of not being enough, the feeling of not deserving more, because some people stray away from having more because they don't feel they deserve it, even when opportunities show up, right? Not belonging in abundance. That's a big one. That's a big one. So therefore, becoming the ancestor you wish you had means healing your relationship with wealth through with through new goggles, right? Healing your relationship with wealth, not from greed but from freedom.
Yes.
Not from greed but from freedom. You build structure where we must, or we should build structure where there was once struggle. Many of us don't have a structure. That's why we live paycheck to paycheck, or we have the scarcity mindset, because we have that struggle running through our bloodline. We have that struggle running through our veins. So therefore, the lessons, you learn to give, or we should be able to learn to give from a place of overflow and not from a place of depletion. Many of us are given from a place of depletion, which is why we always end up empty.
Yeah.
It's big. We end up empty because we always giving so much of ourselves, but we giving so much of ourselves from a place of depletion. We already depleted energetically, financially. We already depleted. So because when we elevate financially, or when we elevate spiritually, wealth, the spirit of wealth, the energetic vibration of wealth, with integrity, right? We don't just change our bank accounts, basically, but we shift the energetic frequency of our lineage. This is about shifting the energetic frequency of our lineage.
I I had a thought right now, and normally I wouldn't tell you this online, but you know how in Misa we take advantage that we're in Misa and it's holy space, like it's sacred space, so what you say in Misa stays in Misa. I'm
Hmm.
going to I'm going to take a page out of that, and I'm going to say this here. I think that you should maybe do a workshop, like a 4-class workshop, the story of scarcity, and then talk about scarcity and depletion. And then one could be love, how we weren't loved, how that affected the way we did things from our parents, how that plays out now, how we are the scarcity of the finances, and where did we learn that, and how does it affect us now? How does it affect our ancestors, and what will we pass on to our kids if we don't change that or break that now? And
Hmm.
then the fourth one being integration. How, now that I visited all of this and learned all of this, how can I now make a contract to integrate this into my life? How does that sound, guys?
Yes, yes, yes.
That was me grand slamming. Thanks, Spirit. Thanks. Thanks.
Yes, yes,
Do
yes.
you need me to remind you later?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if the scarcity of the financial and shifting and everything that you just mentioned now, which is definitely needed and definitely present in all of us except millionaires, maybe, you know. I don't know if that is, if you're working that into this particular ancestral healing. But aside from honoring it or bringing that up and attempting to petition and to do that, I do think that knowledge is key, and it's going to be important to learn to break this up. So, guys, like the keys dropped here. I hope you were listening with your heart. I
I
hope
hope
you were
so.
listening with your spirit.
I
I
hope
hope that
so.
all the ancestors present that gave him and myself the tools and the words to speak, I hope we did their words and their needs justice, because if they came forward is to help you release that
Exactly.
and to help you find freedom. Sorry, I have to sneeze.
Bless you. Fair to see that on you.
Excuse me. So, I hope you guys are listening. Like, it's also been a long time. I know that you just went live recently, but it's been a long time since you unpacked things for people, live like this. You faithfully go on for Tarot Tuesday, but if he's here and he summons, that is spirit right in his ear,
Better
on
believe
his
it.
back, trying to push this forward, and there is a reason. So I hope you can integrate this. I hope you can listen to this, replay it, put it in your earbud, put the phone in your pocket, listen to it while you're driving, while you're in the shower, before you have to go to bed, make some notes, because everything that we talked about, we were not just shooting the shit. This is at the core of what we believe shift requires. This is what spirit says you need to shift. So repeat and rinse. Repetition, repetition, repetition will help the subconscious, the conscious, leak it into the subconscious and integrate it into your new neural pathways.
Yes, yes, and yes. So for the purposes, since I had a reflection, Austin, for the other parts we did, my reflection for this one, for you all to journal on tonight and ponder on, my reflection question would be, how would, or how does your current financial, again, not just from a point of money, but how does your current financial wellness honor your ancestor sacrifices?
Oh.
In the name of the baby black Jesus. Another question that came to me as Magda was speaking with this financial aspect of the conversation, again, not just in terms of dollars and cents, right? But the question would be, would your descendants, would your descendants be able to survive in a healthy manner with your current financial frequency?
Hmm.
Like Marcus says, horribly.
Future, future you, future you already knows the answer. I hope,
Yes.
I hope you, I hope you work that out. I hope the you who are now is in alignment with the future you that wins and that is healthy, happy, and self-nourished with a lot of love. You know, that it's always a pleasure. And I don't know if you're ready to close up now or not. You will dictate that. This feels like a really good body of work. And I'm not just saying that because I was a part of it. That I represent the work,
Yeah.
as I know you do too. I think that this was a very special body of work. And I hope that you stay inspired, because people don't teach this. We repeat it to the people we love. We repeat it to our, to our clients, to our God kids, to the people we need to support,
Yep.
so they keep on keeping up. But there isn't anybody teaching this, the pathway to this. So I hope you continue to be inspired, and I hope you continue to create this, because you're not the bells and whistles. Like this is at the core. Esto es guerra. You are at the forefront of the war within ourselves, and the war with our future, and the war that our ancestors lost. And we're here to finish the job. So I hope you continue to stay inspired, and you continue to teach.
That
And
they lost in the physical, but they can
yes,
still win through us.
absolutely. Ache.
They
Ache.
can still win it through us, which is why they continue. They continue. They lost the physical form, but they're still there, so that we can win it. So that we can win it for our children, so that we can win it for our grandchildren, and continue
Yes.
to win it. This provokes me to come back. Obviously, I want to come back many more times in terms of continue to unpack more of this ancestral elevation, right? But even beyond that, and of course, we're going to bring Magda back because she's out of hiatus now. We brought her back out of her cave, of her hiding hole. Spirit is requiring that she comes out of her hiding cave because she has a lot, a lot, a lot to offer and a lot to give. A lot of that energetic. So because of every single healer in her lineage, that depends on her to continue to contribute
Way
to
to
the healing.
boomerang me. Way to boomerang me. You got me. Okay. Okay.
All the healers that run through her bloodline that are depending on her magic, on her healing to come to the forefront. So all the topics can continue because so much more came to me. For instance, legacy in terms of how do I become how do I become the ancestor that I wish I had.
Legacy.
Spirit, when you were speaking, also gave me about legacy. Legacy as a vibration and not possessions.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Legacy as a vibration and not possessions, right? And then the other was about making our life. You want to know how we become? Spirit is channeling deep, too deep tonight. How do we become the ancestor we wish we had? Spirit says the life we have, the current life, making our life the altar, our
Oof,
ancestors,
that's
Óyeme, making our life the altar our ancestors can come to pray for.
can come to pray for. That's the name of your book. Making our life the altar. Can come to pray for. I wrote it down. Look at I have my own little notes here of the stuff that I'm gonna. So, okay. When?
Yeah, making our life the altar that our ancestors can come to pray for. Because it's not just about the physical aspect of an altar. We are the altar. We are the altar. My godfather was the altar. We are the altar.
Yeah.
And we owe it. 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 So, if you stuck around this long, I invite you to take your healing seriously by joining this year's 6th annual. We've been doing it for 6 years consistently. Our 6th annual Ancestral Elevation Healing Ceremony. Each year, the theme changes, but our fight is still the same. Our fight is to elevate, to become a better version of ourselves. Our fight is to honor, so that one day we can be honored as well. We can only be honored if we leave a good legacy behind. We can only be honored if we leave the good teachings behind. Because if not, what our offspring honors is the dark side of us, the low vibrational side of us, the
Mm-hmm.
scarcity side of us, and that's what keeps them in their own darkness. So let's get to it. The opportunity is there. There are payment options. You have all kinds of payment options. And listen, it's not about guilting you. The fact is that we spend more on drive-thrus and Starbucks and that extra perfume that probably you didn't need than we do in investing in ourselves. So invest in yourself. This is something that we do once a year on November 2nd, the official day of All Souls Day, Dia de los Fieles Difuntos. And therefore, what better moment when the veil is so thin between us and the other side to be able to cut the cords that need to be cut, to be able to intake, receive awareness. This is the kind of things that what we did here tonight. It's the kind of things that also goes down in the ancestral elevation, but at a deeper level. And therefore, if you contributed to anything in the conversation tonight, then that in itself is your sign, your cue that this ancestral elevation healing ceremony this year is for you, because you still have things to clear out, to unpack, to elevate out of your DNA for your lineage and in the name and sake of your lineage. Okay? So take advantage of it.
I want to say something to that. Even though he is your facilitator, right? And when it comes to being a channel, he's a spectacular channel. But if you've taken it before, and you might be somebody that says, well, I already did it before, and he talked about XYZ and he named our ancestors, and I'm not going to take it again. I've I've been guilty of being of that school of thought, not because I didn't want to show up and do the work. Sometimes we have lots of balls in the air and lots of responsibilities, and time is really difficult to manage when we get so busy. So I've been guilty of thinking, well, I won't go to this class or I won't go to that class, because he does, the shadow retreats and the ancestral healings and the healing with the voices. And the template might seem similar, but I promise you that Spirit's voice comes through. And whether you break down and you get emotional and you cry, or you walk away with one sentence changing your perspective or moving something inside of you, that one sentence was for you. That experience was for you, because that has happened to me a handful of times where I was just like, I can't make it to this class. And I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to lay down because I'm going to show support. And then there he is rubbing my back as I'm not crying, and doing my work. Do it for your spirits. Do it for your ancestors. Do it for your future legacy. Do it for your kids when they're grown and their kids. But most importantly, do it for you right now.
Ashe, Ashe, thank you. Thank you for that. And I always say when people ask me if if they did it before, could they or should they do it again, my answer is always yes. And it's always yes, honestly, authentically, because I say this. We change every day of our life. We
Yeah.
change every month.
Yes.
My year to this year is not the same year last year. My goals from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago will not always be exactly the same goals for this year. And we are, as human beings, we're always evolving, we're always changing. So therefore, our challenge is changing. And when we reach the goals that we had for our last year and we reached it, now my other goals, these goals that I have reached, have other requirements of me, they have other needs of me. It requires other kinds of energy of me. So therefore, every year, it's important to be in alignment with our ancestors, because they're side by side with us, fighting every battle, going through every struggle, right? So therefore, If I did it last year, if I did it the year before last, should I do it this year? Yes, and I should do it next year too, because every year is not the same. Every year I'm not gonna have the same goals, the same issues, the same battles, the same conflicts, the same views of life. So therefore, every year I will always continue to need that continuous support from my ancestors of wisdom, but I will always continue to elevate those that are still not in the most elevated state. So the answer is definitely yes. And I will leave us with the following question. See, when Magda speaks, my brain thinks. So, and this one to me, now it just came to me when Magda was speaking, and it almost made both my eyeballs go in opposite directions. That guys, I swear, it did. My question to each and every one of you, and it's a question that I will go to bed with tonight myself. Just because Spirit gave me the question, I'm giving it to you, does that mean I have the answer? I got the question is for me too. It's for all of us. Which is why my eyeballs literally almost went in two different directions. And the question is, and write it down. If you're really here to do the work, if you're really here because you're truly appreciative of Spirit's work, write this down. The question is, I'm going to repeat exactly how it came to me, and I want to make a mistake here. What energy will people feel, or what energy will people experience el día de mañana, the day of tomorrow, many years from now? What energy will people feel or experience when they say your name decades from now? What energy will people feel when they say your name decades from now?
Mine will say, this little spirit, this little jigger still nagging me, still haunting me. Nah, jigger. Okay. Thank
And
you.
remember,
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's okay. And remember, becoming the ancestor you wish you had. I don't want us to make a mistake. It's not about perfection. It's not about perfection. You know what it is about? It's about presence. It's about presence. It's about presence. It's about choosing healing over habit. Over our old habits. Truth over silence. It's about choosing evolution over endurance.
You should be writing those down. Evolution over endurance.
I'm not gonna remember. It just flows through. It just flows through. I hope you're writing it down. You all are writing it down. When you do this work, when you do the spiritual work, when you do the ancestral work, when you do the healing work, when you do the elevation work, your descendants won't have to heal from your pain. Trust me, your descendants won't have to heal from your pain. But guess what? They will rise from your prayers and from your power.
Yeah.
They will rise from your prayers and from your power. Take that to sleep tonight. And it is my prayer that I see you at the Ancestral Elevation Healing Ceremony. It's online, whether you are in New York, whether you are in Puerto Rico, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in Chicago, whether you are in Russia, whether you are in Europe, wherever you are, there's no excuse. We've had years where, and Amanda's also a witness to this, we've had years where I've had people from Israel, from everywhere. So there's no excuse. if in case it is a question, because we live, unfortunately, we're in a day and age where people don't like to read. So even though I've answered this question in the website of the ancestral healing, ancestral elevation healing ceremony, that question is on there and it's answered, but people don't like to read, unfortunately, these days because we're all so scattered mind and always on a rush, rush, rush. So if the question is, well, I already know I won't be available that day. That's why I'm not signing up. The replay will be available. Okay. The work can still be done. The ancestors will still be elevated. The ancestors that you offer, whose names you offer, will still be elevated, and you just get to watch the replay after. Okay. This is a thing I like to also specify because sometimes there could be a slight confusion. For example, well, if I'm not there, will the effect be the same? Yes, it'll be the same because me choosing to broadcast it live, it means I'm including you so you can see it live in the process, but the process is going to happen with or without you. So the process will still have an effect whether you are there live or not. I just open it so that you can be present and we can all share space together in that moment. But if you have a tight schedule, if you have a job that requires you to work that day and you can't get it off, does not mean that it has a less effect if you cannot watch it live. You can watch the replay, but it'll still have the effect. Okay, if that was a question, it's been answered. So therefore, any other questions that you might have, doubts, concern, uncertainties, feel free to email me, DM me. You can DM Magda too, because she's my right hand anyway. And therefore you can access any questions that you might have. Okay, and if you still feel that, well, maybe this year I'll skip it, but someone that needs it, share it with them. If you want to gift it to them as well. That is also an option. Someone else asked that question earlier. They want to gift it to someone else. And definitely you can DM me, send me a message, and I'll give you the information on how to go about doing that. But remember, gift it to someone else, but also remember you. You. You are important. You. It's funny to me how sometimes we pass ourselves over for somebody else. So keep that in mind. Let's thank Great Magda, the Leo Queen, the Leo Witch, for being here with us this evening. When we get together, it's magical. We're going to bring her back. Trust me, it's going to be sooner than she thinks. We're going to bring her back because the Spirit has opened the doorways again for her to come back because people miss her and we love her and we need her.
Okay, so I want to present something then. I've been hiding, running, making excuses for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing the work, right? And we have to work on the scarcity mentality, right? And we're
Yes.
changing, we're upgrading, we're leaving a legacy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It can't stay at the lives. Like, I'll join you, but the life has to be the nugget, the eye of the needle that has to work its way, and the thread, weave it into something else. Because it's no disrespect. I love all the support I've gotten for GypsyLuv. We share a lot of the same followers because of how long we've been running together. You know, but it stays here, and they don't know how to nurture it, and the knowledge is needed. And this needs to turn. I feel that this material is solid and it needs to turn into more. And so if you want to take these, and we can turn them into something, and you can turn them into classes, we can turn them into classes, and we can do a part 1 and a part 2, or we can do a Zoom. Why? Because I have the urge for roots. I have the urge to see people, sturdy their trunk to blossom into more.
Yes.
I'm watching, no, like a I'm a big believer and supporter of therapy, but not all therapists are created equal. Not all of them will unpack things.
And you
A
know what I
lot.
also say? Sorry to cut you off. Not all therapists are created equal, as you say. I love that. And not all therapists are created spiritual.
Yes. So for me, that's what I was going to say. Um, Therapy gave me a container. It taught me to, how do I speak from the I need, I feel, but it did not help me with the amount of releasing trauma. It helped me journey through the trauma, understand, but I was not renovated. I was not rebirthed. I was in knowledge with therapy, but I was not rebirthed. Spirituality, shadow work, that did that for me. So I will gladly join forces for level 2, level 3, level 4. Product, so that we can support this village's community into more. You know, it's a call to action. How about that? Calling ourselves out. You want to call me for not coming? I'm here. And then we can turn the... No?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm
Okay.
in. I'm in. I'm in. And I'm in, and we're going to bring a lot. I'm speaking it into existence. We're going to bring a lot into our 2026 year because things in our lives, all of us, all of you listening, all of you that will hopefully watch, listen to the replay,
I hope you do.
our lives cannot continue to remain the same. It can't. It can't. But guess what? It requires action from us. It requires commitment from us. And that's what we most lack.
Ajay.
Truth be told, that's what we lack. We will always make an excuse over why we're not available, why not now, why not. And those excuses are the excuses that our ancestors died with. Which is why it's so easy for us to repeat those excuses. How about that? So therefore, let's get together. Let's do the work. I make a commitment with my spirit guides to honor Magda's invitation because this has to root. It definitely has to root, so it doesn't stay in the air. Porque las cosas se la llevan el viento. You know, it's definitely time to upgrade. But let's start the work because people, if you can't do the smaller things, you won't commit to the bigger things. You
Mm-hmm.
won't. That's
Mm-hmm.
also another truth. So let's get together.
And
November 2nd.
in the meantime, know that there is that healing, that in the middle there is readings, there is sessions. He does sessions, I do sessions. I have my people here, you have your people here. Like, we're of the same vein. Our goal, our heart is invested with the same goal in mind, in healing, in bettering, in helping support your journey. He has this beautiful healing coming through, but he has weekly like slots and sessions that he does, one-on-one healings, one-on-one readings, as we do through GypsyLuv. I have spots available. He has spots available. We also have a special sound bowl that Laura, my partner, is doing for on the 1st. You can click in. You can click in through our profile, and you can look at that. All to say we're here for you. Like, at the end, we have to give you a call to action, not because we're pushing the not out of gimmicky, not out of, oh, a shameless plug. Like, these are doors and windows that are open. These are prongs in the ladder for you to do this. Spirit has called us. We build the work, we hold the space,
That's
and
right.
now you just have to show up. So we're both here. Please look at our profiles. Please ask. Please don't be shy. If you are shyer on a bigger setting, as I know many of you are, Spirit is calling, answer the call. That's pretty much it. We're here for it.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing Spirit's work. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. Thank you for tapping in. Thank you for being open to receive. And I hope to see you on November 2nd for the Ancestral Elevation Healing Ceremony. Click the link in my bio, sign up. It's still at the discounted rate. I haven't raised it up yet, but I will. So take advantage of it, okay?
Yeah.
See
Share.
you all soon. And share this live. Yes, share
Yeah.
this live, share this live, share this live. It will be on my page. It will be on Magda's page as well. But share it forward. Push it forward, because when you give the light to others, it's impossible for you not to receive the light for yourself as well. Okay? Thank you, hija mía.
Thank you.
And
My
see
pleasure.
you, everyone else. See you tomorrow in Tarot Tuesday.
Bye,
Over and out.
everybody. Good night.